Rising tensions in the Middle East have exploded into full-blown war. For the last few days, Israel has been conducting Operation Rising Lion against Iran. Missiles and bombs are flying. Right now, the death toll stands at 248, with 230 people killed in Iran and 18 in Israel. And it may soon get worse. Iran claims that Pakistan stands with the country in its conflict with Israel, and the world may have officially gone insane. Pakistan has threatened to nuke Israel. Maybe. On June 15th, Turkey Today reported that a key member of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or IRGC, had claimed that Pakistan has offered to use its nuclear weapons against Israel if Israel fires nukes at Iran. That IRGC member is Mohsen Rezai, a general who also serves on Iran's National Security Council. Speaking during an interview with Iranian state television, Rezai delivered a chilling warning to Israel. Pakistan told us that if Israel uses nuclear missiles, we will also attack it with nuclear weapons. Rezai went on to claim that Pakistan has told key officials that it will stand behind Iran, as Rezai called for Islamic unity against Israel following the devastating Operation Rising Lion strikes in Iran. Those strikes have already killed several important officials in Iran's military and nuclear arms program, in addition to decimating several facilities that are believed to be central to Iran's own plans to build a nuclear weapon. This is a huge escalation in the conflict between Iran and Israel, and if true, it could plunge the entire world into nuclear war. There is a reason why Iran has chosen to make this claim now. Beyond Operation Rising Lion already wreaking so much devastation on the country, Iran has also received another threat from Israel. It's not a nuclear threat. Instead, it's a threat that Israel may soon target Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. At least that's according to one Israeli official. He held an explosive interview with the Wall Street Journal on June 15th. The unnamed official told the journal that assassinating or otherwise killing Khamenei is not off limits, as Israel continues its strikes against Iran's military facilities. The official also claimed that the only way for Iran to bring the emerging war to an end is to end any efforts it's making to build its own nuclear weapon. The war would only end with either Iran voluntarily dismantling its nuclear program or Israel making it impossible for Tehran to reconstitute it, the official told the journal. Backing for the official's claims comes from Amit Segal, who works for Israel's Channel 12 News. Posting to X, he said, "Israel is not ruling out the possibility of eliminating Ali Khamenei, but it depends on many things," an Israeli political source says. If the world had any doubt that Israel and Iran were embroiled in a full-blown war, those doubts should have disappeared by now. A country doesn't threaten to kill the leader of another nation if it isn't deadly serious about starting a war. Iran is terrified. Losing Khamenei after so many of its other military officials have died in Israel's strikes would amount to the completion of Israel's decapitation strategy, chop off the head and plunge Iran into chaos. It's no coincidence that Rezai's claims about Pakistan's nuclear intervention came just hours after news broke of the Israeli official's Khamenei comments. This tells us that Iran is taking Israel seriously, and it wants Israel to know that it can strike back. Rezai also claimed that Iran has hidden tactics and capabilities that the country has not revealed yet, that it will unleash if Israel continues its campaign. Could these be the desperate threats from a man who sees that his country is being overwhelmed? Or is Rezai suggesting that the nuclear option is now on the table? We don't know for sure yet. What we do know is that Pakistan has already shown some support for Iran in the wake of Rising Lion. On June 14th, Pakistan's Defense Minister, Khwaja Asif, stood before his nation's National Assembly to claim that Islamic nations should create a new initiative to demonstrate unity against Israel. Israel has targeted Iran, Yemen, and Palestine, Asif raged. If Muslims don't unite now, each will face the same fate. Asif went on to encourage every Islamic country to cut diplomatic ties with Israel, along with claiming that the Organization for Islamic Cooperation should convene to form a joint strategy for dealing with Israeli aggression. Asif went on to express specific support for Iran, stating, "We stand behind Iran and will support them at every international forum to protect their interest." So there are messages of unity and support coming out of Pakistan for Iran. But does that really mean that Pakistan will use nuclear weapons against Israel? Soon after his National Assembly comments, Asif also took to X to provide some clarity over Pakistan's nuclear doctrine. However, that supposed clarity still didn't answer the question of whether Pakistan truly intends to provide Iran with nukes. "World should be wary and apprehensive about Israel's nuclear prowess, a country not bound by any international nuclear discipline, nor signatory to NPT or any other binding agreement," Asif's comments began. There's a clear implication here that Pakistan's defense minister believes that Israel has access to nuclear weapons and may use them against Iran, given that Israel has not made its nuclear doctrine public. Asif continues, saying, Pakistan is a signatory to all international nuclear disciplines. Our nuclear capability is for the benefit of our people and defense of our country against hostile designs of our enemies. We do not pursue hegemonic policies against our neighbors, which are being amply demonstrated by Israel these days. This may seem like a denial of Rezai's claims about Pakistan offering to use nuclear weapons against Israel. Note how Asif mentions that Pakistan's arsenal is intended for the protection of his country's own people, not Iran's people. However, consider the comments Asif made to the Pakistani National Assembly here. He mentions numerous times that Israel is a threat to the entire Islamic world and that Muslim countries must unite against that threat. Could this be interpreted to mean that Pakistan now considers any threat against Iran made by Israel to be a threat to its own people? After all, Asif outright said that Islamic nations will each face the same fate. That could mean that he sees Iran's fight against Israel as Pakistan's fight too. If nothing else, Asif is positioning Israel as the aggressor, concluding his ex-statement with the following: "Western world must worry about conflicts being generated by Israel. It will engulf the whole region and beyond. Their patronage of Israel, a rogue state, can have catastrophic consequences." These are harsh words from Asif. And though they don't outright confirm Rezai's claims that Iran has nuclear support from Pakistan, they also don't outright deny them either. Asif has chosen his words carefully, and when those words are taken in the context of his other claims that Islamic countries need to unite against Israel, what Asif said could be taken as a warning to Israel that it's ready to use a nuclear response if it considers what Israel is doing in Iran to be a threat to the people of Pakistan. The question now is simple: would Pakistan ever use its nuclear weapons? The implication through all of this is that Pakistan will only use its nukes if it faces a comparable threat from Israel. Translation: if Israel nukes Iran, Pakistan will respond in kind on Iran's behalf. The question now, as it has long been, is whether Israel can launch a nuclear weapon at all. It can, probably. Israel is a complicated country on the nuclear front. According to the Arms Control Association, or ACA, Israel is believed to maintain a stockpile of 90 nuclear warheads, along with fissile missile stockpiles for around 200 nuclear weapons in total. But note the use of the word "believed." Nobody knows for sure, which is exactly how Israel wants it. The ACA notes that Israel's official nuclear policy is to never confirm or deny having nuclear weapons. Israel has also apparently claimed that it won't be the first nation to introduce nukes to the Middle East, though these claims ring hollow, given that the country is already universally believed to have done just that. Israel's workaround for its claim may be that it keeps its nuclear weapons in a partially disassembled state, according to the ACA, but that doesn't mean much. If Israel chooses to launch, it's going to follow the same non-transparent approach it does to the question of whether it has nukes in the first place. For all anybody, including Iran and Pakistan, knows, Israel could be assembling some of its nuclear weapons right now, just in case. The Nuclear Threat Initiative, or NTI, provides more details about the nuclear stockpile Israel is believed to maintain. It mirrors the ACA's claims that Israel has around 90 nuclear weapons, adding that it has likely possessed nukes since the 1960s. Israel is also not a signatory to the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, or NPT. That shouldn't come as a surprise. The entire purpose of the NPT is to serve as a binding commitment for the disarmament of nuclear weapon states. If Israel isn't going to admit to being one of those states, it certainly isn't going to sign a treaty that makes it duty-bound to disarm. The NTI also digs deeper into what Israel's nuclear arsenal is estimated to look like. It says the country may have as much as 2,447 pounds of plutonium in its stockpiles, which is enough to build between 187 and 277 nuclear warheads. It also has plenty of potential launch platforms. Israel's Jericho-3 intermediate-range ballistic missiles, or ICBMs, can travel for up to 4,038 miles, says the NTI. That's more than enough to hit Iran. It's also enough range for Israel to target Pakistan. The NTI adds that Israel also operates the Dolphin 1 and Dolphin 2 class submarines, which most believe are capable of launching cruise missiles armed with nuclear warheads. Israel also opposes efforts to create a weapons of mass destruction free zone in the Middle East, despite ACA's comments on Israel not wanting to be the first Middle Eastern power to introduce nuclear weapons. Plus, Israel is believed to have conducted atmospheric tests of its nuclear weapons in cooperation with South Africa as far back as 1979. However, those tests haven't been confirmed. That's par for the course with Israel's nuclear program. What we have in Israel is a nation that's trying to play coy with its nuclear weapons capabilities. Practically every organization that tracks and reports on nukes believes that Israel has them, but Israel won't confirm one way or another. It wants to keep its nuclear arsenal a secret because doing so gives it the option of launching a surprise strike. You could also see this approach as defensive. Let's say Pakistan launches a nuclear strike against Israel tomorrow in Iran's defense. Israel, thanks to its decades of nuclear denial, could then appeal to the rest of the world with claims that a nuclear nation has hit it and Israel is unable to defend itself. The rest of the world would be unlikely to believe Israel's claims of being defenseless, but Israel's allies, especially the United States, may not be able to avoid being forced to come to Israel's aid. So that's what we know about Israel's nuclear capabilities. What about Pakistan? The country that Iran claims will come to its aid if Israel strikes with nuclear weapons is a lot more open about its own stockpiles. The ACA says that Pakistan has 170 nukes, which is just 2 shy of India's nuclear stockpile. That's not a coincidence. Pakistan maintains its nuclear weapons as a direct deterrent to India, meaning it's no surprise that it wants to have a similar number of warheads. Like Israel, Pakistan also isn't a signatory of the NPT. If it wants to, Pakistan could ramp up its nuclear program at any time to build more warheads. It may have to if it's thinking about starting a nuclear war with Israel. More information comes from the Atomic Archive, which notes that Pakistan became the 7th state to officially test a nuclear weapon in 1998, though we still don't know just how powerful its nukes are. General estimates tend to put the payloads of most of Pakistan's nukes at between 5 and 12 kilotons, though it's possible that its nuclear-capable ICBMs could carry warheads with yields as high as 40 kilotons. For context, the Fat Man bomb the US dropped on Nagasaki had a 20-kiloton yield, according to the National Museum of the United States Air Force. Most of Pakistan's nuclear arsenal is less destructive than that weapon, with potentially a handful of its nukes being twice as powerful. Pakistan is also believed to be developing more nuclear weapons. That's according to the Atomic Archive, which says that the country already has the world's 6th largest nuclear stockpile. By 2025, the archive claims experts have predicted Pakistan may have between 220 and 250. That would mean it will hit these numbers by the end of this year. We may never actually know if it does. Pakistan doesn't officially report on its nuclear stockpiles due to it not being an NPT signatory. Pakistan also has plenty of options for using its nukes. At least that's according to the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation, which confirms the information from the Atomic Archive in terms of Pakistan's first nuclear tests and its intention to build more warheads. The center says Pakistan currently maintains a nuclear duo when it comes to launch platforms. From the skies, Pakistan may be able to launch nuclear cruise missiles using its F-16s, Mirage 3 and Mirage 5 aircraft, all of which are nuclear capable. According to the center, Pakistan has 36 warheads it can launch from its fighter jets and has recently developed a new air-launched cruise missile named the Ra'ad, which has a range of over 217 miles. However, most of Pakistan's nuclear threat comes from the land arm of its duo. It has 102 land-based ballistic missiles, most of which are short or medium-range weapons. However, it is developing ICBMs, most notably the Shaheen 3, that will have a range of around 1,700 miles. That may not be quite enough for Pakistan to strike Israel from its own territory. The air travel distance between the two nations is 2,046 miles, and the Shaheen 3 is still under development. But what if Pakistan sends some of its missiles to Iran? Suddenly, the distance problem isn't as much of an issue. Finally, there's the potential that Pakistan will soon be able to launch nuclear warheads from sea. It can't do it yet. However, the Center for Arms Control and Non-Proliferation says that the country is currently testing the Babur 3, which is a sea-launched version of the Babur 2 missile. The first test of the Babur 3 reportedly took place in January 2017, but it took place on a submerged platform rather than a submarine. No other tests, and certainly not tests involving submarines, have been recorded, so Pakistan doesn't have a capable sea-launched missile in its arsenal. Yet. By now it's clear that both Israel and Pakistan could do serious damage to one another, and Iran, if either went down the nuclear route. Will they? For Israel, the answer appears to be simple. Its lack of confirmation about the existence of its nuclear arsenal suggests that it's not going to fire a warhead unless it believes doing so is absolutely necessary. It doesn't want to give the game away. Right now, Operation Rising Lion is having all of the effects that Israel needs it to have, and the country likely feels it can handle the missile and drone threat Iran poses as a counter, which makes using its nuclear arsenal unnecessary. As for Pakistan using its nuclear weapons in Iran's support, it all comes down to how deep the ties run between those two nations. And despite Asif's claims that all Islamic nations should unite to face Israel, the reality is that Iran and Pakistan have a much more contentious relationship than Rezai would like the rest of the world to believe. After all, it was only 18 months ago that Iran and Pakistan were attacking each other. In January 2024, CNN reported on these tit-for-tat strikes, noting that Iran and Pakistan share a volatile 560-mile border. Both are allied in a fight against the Baloch region, which wants to separate from Iran and could pose a threat to Pakistan if it does. However, that alliance doesn't stretch to either nation striking against the Baloch people in each other's territory. That's what happened in early 2024. Iran kicked things off with a strike against Pakistan's Balochistan province, an attack that killed 2 children and injured several other people. Pakistan was furious. Despite having its own issues with the Baloch people, Pakistan called Iran's actions an egregious violation of international law and the spirit of bilateral relations between Pakistan and Iran. 2 days after Iran's strike, Pakistan hit back with strikes against supposed militants on Iranian soil. Pakistan reported that the strikes killed 10 people. Tensions between Iran and Pakistan simmered down soon after. By the end of January, they were rebuilding their diplomatic relationship, according to Al Jazeera. Still, what we have here are signs of a conflict between Iran and Pakistan that still hasn't been fully resolved. The relationship between the two is uneasy, with both believing the other is harboring militants within their borders. That tension could cause any alliance between the two nations against Israel to unravel before it's even started. After all, it's a big step to go from being at each other's throats over illegal strikes on territory 18 months ago to being willing to cooperate on the nuclear front in June 2025. Speaking of that supposed nuclear cooperation, it may already be dead in the water. That's according to the New Indian Express, which quoted Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar. Also Pakistan's Deputy Prime Minister, Dar stood before his country's parliament to denounce the claims that Pakistan is about to arm Iran with nuclear weapons. There is a video on social media where an Iranian general was quoted as saying, "If Israeli nukes attack Iran, then Pakistan will attack Israel with nuclear weapons. This is irresponsible and false news," Dar is reported to have said. From our side, there has been no such statement. It was fabricated, Dar continued. However, he still added a little confusion to the whole situation by concluding with a direct threat. Israel dare not look at Pakistan. Pakistan has enough power to respond to any malafide. Our armed forces are fully alert. So it looks like Iran won't be receiving nuclear weapons from Pakistan after all. But Pakistan has still been drawn into this emerging conflict, unwittingly or otherwise. Now it wants to make clear to Israel and the rest of the world that it has the power to defend itself if the emerging war between Iran and Israel spills over to other nations. If Pakistan does end up aligning with Iran and providing nuclear weapons, that could be a worst-case scenario for Israel. There are others potentially affecting Israel, Iran, and the rest of the world. Find out what they are in our video. And remember to subscribe to the Military Show if you want more videos covering the latest developments in the war emerging in the Middle East.